Okay. So we were discussing something called virtual memory. So we said that we will have a virtual memory where uh, we have this system, uh, and then there is this main memory where we are not limiting the amount of memory that is available. So it can be anything. Let's say it has 256 bytes of memory. So we divided it into something called pages or segments or whatever it is. So A, B, C, D was the pages that we divided. And then we said, okay, whenever there is a process that is launched, uh, so let's say process one that is launched, then we have the same 256 bytes or more. It doesn't matter, but let's assume that it is 256 bytes again. So we said that we will divide this also into pages, and similarly P2. This is also divided into pages, and it has its own pages, maybe. And then we have a page table entry per process. So this is a page table entry per process. So we have a page table entry where this is allocated. So we have A, B, C, and maybe it is allocated to B, A alone. And then we have a page table entry which is A, B, C, D, and maybe this is allocated to capital D. So this is A here, process A is here, and process 2 is A here, and process 1's A here. Right. So we have this. This is the assumption that we made, and we said that this is working fine. So that the process one will never be able to access some memory of process two's. That is not possible because every time you access, just a second. Yeah. So how does this work? Every time I access, whenever the CPU generates a memory, so I go to the virtual page table. I see, okay, what is the translation? I do the translation, which means that I go with a virtual address, but I use the table, virtual page table, to get a physical address, and then I access the memory. So I hope till now everything is makes sense for you. If there are questions, I can take it now, or we'll go to the next thing. And we also said that where do we keep this virtual page table? So where do we keep this virtual page table? So one of the answers that we found out was, okay, let's not, I mean, we'll have to, of course, it's a data structure. We don't want to have a hardware for it. We convinced ourselves that having a hardware is not a feasible solution. So instead of having it as a hardware, we will have it as a software. And who handles the software? We assume that it's the operating system. It's actually more nuanced than that. It is handled by the operating system, but it is not actually stored in the operating system piece of code. We will see that soon. So what we said was we'll reserve some memory. Maybe we will reserve this particular piece of memory here. Maybe we'll reserve 64 bytes of memory here, which is only storing virtual page table. This is one of the solutions. Of course, there can be any other solution. So and then we have ABCD here. So we have only ABC here. Now this is so we said that this is where we store the virtual page table or whatever it is. Right? So we store this is reserved. So this is reserved. So in this way, I am able to handle this data structure. So now when the CPU generates an address, I have to go to the main memory. I have to go to the main memory. And then I use the virtual page table to get the translation from virtual address to physical address. And then I access the main memory again. This seems fine. I'm just accessing the memory twice. It seems fine. But then the challenge is what happens if I have a cache here, right? So let's say I have a cache here. So the reason I bought up cache was because I didn't want to go to the main memory. So that's why I said, okay, even though it's made up of SRAM, even though it's expensive for me, I will have cache because it's on chip. And I can access the data in the cache, which means that there's a chance that this will get hit soon. So I don't want to go to the main memory. So initially, when we thought about this design, we hadn't thought about what's the address that the CPU generates. So we said that we'll first search in the cache. So when the CPU generated an address, we search in the cache. Only if it's a hit, we give back the data. Only if it's a miss, I go to the main memory. Right? So this is what we were accustomed to. But now, since we say that there's a virtual page table, so there is a virtual page table here that is sitting here. Right? So since there's a virtual page table here, and the address that the CPU generates is virtual, So I generate the virtual address. So now what do? I see I have to access the main memory. I have to access the virtual page table. So to access the virtual page table, I go to the main memory, access virtual page table, get the physical address, and then go to the main memory or to the cache, and then. But now if you see, we brought in the cache because we didn't want to go to the main memory. But now we are saying for every virtual address access, we are going to main memory. So this is not a intelligent design, because we came up with the cache because we wanted to reduce the times that we go to the main memory. But now we are saying for every access, we are going to the main memory. So this is, I think, where we stopped. I'm not very sure, but if you have questions here, you can ask me. So does this make sense to you? Are there any questions? Okay, so one of the solutions that you guys proposed was, we will keep this virtual page table in the cache. So instead of keeping it in the cache, what people have done is they have something called a translation leukocyte buffer. So it's a very small kind of cache, which has, say, maybe 4 to 8 or 16 to 24, 16 to 32 entries or 128 entries or whatever. So in this case, we have 4 entries alone. And this is shared across processes. Either I invalidate the entire TLB, so this is called TLB. It's called translation leukocyte buffer. So either I invalidate the entire TLB if I shift the process, or I attach it with the process ID. So that is again a design choice, but we will not get into it. So there are 4 entries. This is shared among the process. Let's assume that we can differentiate between the entries of a given process. So now how do I do? So initially, maybe the process 1 generated an address for page A. So I have to go to the main memory because the TLB is entry. So I go to the main memory, and then I say for process 1. So we say that for process 1, A is translated to small a translated to capital A, and it should be bigger. So it's a fully associative structure, which means that the entries are generally it's fully associative. Of course, these days it has been made into 8 associative and things like that. So we say for process 1, the page A is translated to capital A, and maybe for process 2, the capital A is generated to capital C. So something like this. So we say that this is the translation that is currently there. So we store all the recently used entries. We store all the recently used translations in TLB. That's why it's called translation leukocyte buffer. It's a buffer for the virtual page table, and it's shared. This is a hardware structure, so it is shared across the processes. Whether you want to use for the TLB for one process and then invalidate all the entries when you shift to another process, or you tag along the process ID, it's up to you. There are different design choices, but let's assume that at any given point of time in a TLB, there can be multiple entries from different processes. So now, can you tell me, like, what should I access first? So now the CPU has generated an address. So what should I access first?
The TLB.
Yeah, TLB, yes, right. So I generate a virtual address. I access the TLB. Okay. So now, maybe we should not write it here. Okay. So now let's see the access, right? So CPU generated an address, virtual address. Okay. So now I access the TLB. So that I hope everything is clear now. So I access the TLB. Now there is a chance that it's a hit in the TLB or miss in the TLB. If it's a hit in the TLB, what do you access next?
The cache.
The cache, right? Because you got the physical address. Now, if it's a miss in the cache, what do you do? If it's a miss in
the reserved part of the main memory, the virtual page table.
No.
Oh, you don't need that. You already have the translation.
Yeah, I already have the physical address. So what do I access?
So the main memory.
Yes, main excellent. I access the main memory. Okay. Now, can there be a miss in the main memory? Can there be a miss in the main memory? Try to follow this. I know.
We will load the page.
No. Can there be a miss in the main memory? Is the first question.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So first, can there be a miss in the cache?
Yes, sir.
Yes, right, because the cache space is limited. But think about it. Can there be a miss in this particular tree? Can there be a miss in the main memory?
No, sir.
No, sir,
Why?
because
Why?
there was a hit.
What was a hit?
Because in the
TLB.
buffer, we already, because in the buffer, the page is already registered, right?
Yeah. So when will you register it? Only when you have brought that, right? So which means that now you are translating this, right? So which means that maybe I got a hit here, which means that it is now saying it is in capital C. So this capital C is already there. So there is nothing called a miss in main memory. So this does not exist. Is everybody convinced that this does not exist?
So do we keep updating the TLB when something gets removed from the main memory? A
Yes,
page
or,
gets replaced.
or else
Okay.
then it, see, if I don't update it, what will happen? Let's say I don't update it. Okay, let's say I kick out a page from the main memory. Let's say I kicked out maybe this page from the main memory. Then what will happen? When the address is generated, there is no check. I will just go and read this. Let's say there was this C. Let's say there was this A, B, and C. Page A, page B, and page C. Okay. Now this translation is fine. So this is small a, and this is a small a for process one. Now let's say I kick this out. This entire C is now invalidated. Let's say I wrote it to the hard disk. Let's say I wrote it to the hard disk. Okay. Now there is some junk here, right? Because maybe I reset it or whatever it is. Now when the CPU generated an address, you saw that this A is translated to capital C. Maybe it is not there in the cache, and then you go and read it, right? So where are you checking that it is present or not?
So now it's a wrong value.
Yeah, no, wrong value. So you can't do that. You have to remove this entry. When I say remove, you just say put a valid bit as 0. That's all. Is this okay?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I don't prepare for this class, so most of the classes are like this, but generally there might be here and there things. So if you are stuck somewhere, let me know. Okay, so is everybody convinced that this cannot be a miss? What will you do if there's a hit in the cache?
Give it back to CPU.
CPU, yes, excellent. If there's a hit in the main memory, what do? I go to the cache and to CPU. And now I am not worried how the cache handles. It's the headache of the cache controller, whether it wants to keep it and then give it to the CPU, or whether it doesn't want to keep it, or whether it gives to the CPU and then keeps it in the cache. I'm not worried about it. It's the headache of the cache controller. So I just write that I am just giving it to the cache controller. Now, how the cache controller handles this is completely dependent. I'm not worried about this because I'm talking about it. Let's say there's a miss in the TLB. Okay. Now we'll come back to this. If there's a miss in the TLB, does it mean that it's always a miss in the cache? If there's a miss in the TLB, does it mean that there's a miss in the cache?
Yes, sir, because we don't know that where that address is.
Can you think about it and let me know?
So this depends on the policy that you're using to update the TLB, right? If your cache is much bigger and your TLB is much smaller, then
Yes,
it's
right.
possible.
It's possible that it's a hit in the TLB. The block is actually there in the cache. Maybe there's a, let's say there was only one entry. There was only one entry in TLB. Maybe because I am idiot, so I just have one entry in the TLB. Let's say my TLB has only one entry, and as of now, the TLB is holding process 1 is translating to A. But this cache might be holding process 2 C, right? Or maybe process 1 itself, some other block which belongs to capital P. But it might be a hit in the cache, but I can't search in the cache, right? So there are two different things. It's a miss in the TLB. There's a miss in the TLB. It doesn't mean that I should go and search in the cache, because what do I not have to search in the cache?
You don't have the physical address.
Yeah, I don't have the physical address, so I can't go and search in the cache. So even though there's a chance that it might be in the cache, I can't go and search in the cache. So if there's a miss, where do I go? Where do I run next?
You have to go to that reserved space in the memory.
Yes, yeah. So I go to the main memory. I have to go to the main memory. There is no way. So I have to go to the main memory. So in the main memory, right? In the main memory, now there is two chances. There's a hit, okay. There's a miss, and there is one more third thing. This is very interesting. This we will discuss in detail in few minutes. So there is a hit, there is a miss. There is one more option. We come to that later. Okay. So let's say there is a hit in the main memory. Okay.
Sir.
Yes.
Sir, when there is a TLB miss, then it should not be in cache also, right?
See, what is TL? No, sorry. What is TLB? TLB is just a buffer as a cache for virtual page table. Agreed?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So now let's just assume that there's only one process. Okay. Let's write down that case. Let's assume that there is only one cache, and this is main memory. Sorry, one process. And let's assume that this is always reserved. Again, just because I'm on video, I'm telling you some of the things that I'm telling you are totally wrong, but that doesn't matter because finally you will figure out what is the right answer. But the idea is to understand how this design has evolved, how one would think if I am, we haven't even used any famous person's name or the textbook name or the i7 processor's name. It is just that we have come up with this design. We don't even know whether this design is actually there in the real world processor or not. We are just thinking about this design. You guys said that we want to have a virtual page table because you said that, okay, I want to have a translation. You guys said that because I'm always going to the main memory, we want to have a buffer for the virtual page table. I did not say that. You just said that you want to put it in cache. I said, okay, instead of putting it in a cache, maybe we'll put it in a different order. But you could have done it in the cache. There's nothing talking. The only reason that you don't put it in the cache is because there's a chance that the block might get kicked out because the cache is heavily used. That's why you try to keep it in an even faster way. And there's many other reasons that you'll see later in the class. But these are the designs that you came up with. Okay. Let's say I have only one entry in the table. Okay. Let's say I have only one entry in the TL. Okay. And let's say there are four blocks in the cache. The block here is B1, B2, and B3 and B4. Let's say B1, B2 belong to page, say small a, and B3, B4 belong to small b. Okay. Now, I am very sure that small a might be somewhere here, small b might be somewhere here. So it has mapped because that's in the cache, so it's in the main memory. So I have a and b here. Now when the CPU generated an address, right, let's say the TLB has a translation, it has the translation from A to capital B. Now when the CPU generated the address for B1, then it's a hit in the TLB. But if the CPU generated an address B, small b, okay, let's assume that this was initially not there. Now CPU generated an address for small b for B3. Let's say CPU generated an address for B3. Now it is not a hit in the TLB. It is not it's not a hit in the TLB. So you go to the main memory. You see that okay, this has not yet been allocated. So you update the page table entry. So CPU generated for B3, okay, miss in TLB. Okay. You run to the virtual page table. You saw that it has not yet been allocated. So you said, okay, from hard disk to from secondary storage to main memory, you translated this. So maybe you allocated B here. Let's say you allocated B here, small b here. Right? That's what the page belongs to. And you can see here that it's what it belongs to. Right? So now I update page table. I updated the virtual page table. Right? And then I updated the TLB also. Updated the TLB also. So now how will my TLB look? My TLB will look something like this. TLB will have small b with capital A, right? Is everybody following this?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I updated the TLB, okay, and then I brought that particular block. So I wrote B3 here. Then I gave it to CPU. So everything is perfect fine. Now when the CPU generates an address B1, is it a hit or missing?
There should also be another entry, right? In the TLB.
No, there's only, TLB is a hardware structure. There's only one entry that I am allowing. How can I grow the TLB?
Okay, sir.
See, you should never forget that the TLB is a hardware structure. The virtual page table is a data structure. Agree?
Okay, sir. Yeah.
Yeah, here I had 4 entries, but now I am a very dumb person, so I have only 1 entry. I somehow designed this hardware that it has only 1 entry. So I just picked in the least recently used policy. Of course, I don't even have to use any policy. I just say, okay, there was 1 entry. Now the recently used is this entry. Initially, it was small a to capital B. This was the recently used. Now I came up with the recently used entry, so I removed this and kept this entry. That's perfectly fine. So now when a CPU generates small b1, will it be a hit in the TLB or miss in the TLB? When this virtual address is generated, you see what page it belongs to. Right?
Miss.
Miss, right? But does it mean that the block that you are searching is not in the cache?
No, sir.
No, right? It might be in the cache. You don't know. Did you follow, Amit bhai?
Yes, sir.
No, if you haven't followed anyway, it's not like class because there are very few people. If you are not followed, let me know. I mean, I understand that.
Sir,
Go ahead.
sir, B1 is the physical address, right?
B1 is the virtual address. That is the okay. I mean, let's assume that this B1 is getting mapped to this small B1 as physical. It does not matter, right? So maybe I write it as some other address which is representing B1. It is representing B1, or maybe let's call it. If it's confusing for you, you will understand that there is no. I mean, it does not change anything that I discussed, but just not to confuse you, let's write it as B1. P, B2, P, B3, B4. And B1 maps to B1 physical, B2 maps to B2 physical, so on and so forth. But it's still the same, right? The idea is the same. Is it okay?
Okay, sir.
No, are you convinced or not? I mean, it's the same. I mean, it doesn't change, but if you're not convinced, I can explain.
Yes, sir.
Okay, but the whole point is that when the CPU generates, if it's a miss in the TLB, there's a very high chance, I mean, not high chance, there's a chance that it can be in the cache. Okay. So now since this is clear, we will say, okay, there's a TLB, virtual address was generated in the, and we search in the TLB, there's a miss in the TLB, so we went to the main memory. It's a hit in the main memory. Now my question is, if it's a hit in the main memory, does it imply that it is always in the cache? Does it imply that it's always in the cache?
I don't think so.
No,
Yeah,
sir.
any other? It can be in the cache or need not be in the cache, right? We don't know.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Does it imply that it is always in the main memory? I'm asking about this particular tree. Like Ajin would say, right? So this particular tree.
So we are hitting in main memory, right? So it will be in main memory.
No, you should say it with full confidence. You should not say, okay, maybe this guy is asking, so I'm answering. Are you confident that it will be in the main memory?
Sir, if it's a miss in the TLB, then we still have virtual address only, right?
Yes, so we went to the main memory. Why did we go to the main memory?
So we're
To-
checking the virtual page table now, right?
Yeah, to access this particular thing.
So now hit or miss means whether this virtual page table has the translation we want.
Yes.
Okay.
So I think so there can still be a miss in this main memory.
Okay, what does it mean? Okay, maybe I think, what does it mean? Okay. So what does hit mean to me? It means that I found a translation. So if I gave the virtual address X, right? If I gave a X virtual address, I got Y physical address or whatever that physical address stands for. So I have found this translation. Then does it mean that it is in the main memory?
Yes, sir.
Others?
Yes, yes, I understood.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it has to be in the main memory. There is no way that it cannot be, because when will you have this translation, right? So when will you have this translation? When you have brought that page to the main memory. Right? If you had not brought this page into the main memory, then the translation would not have been there. If the translation is there, it does, of course, means that you have brought them. So this means that the block is definitely in the main memory, but you don't know if it's cache or not. Agree? I agree that this is a bit tough because you are, as I said, you are seeing it for the first time. Just think about it. It will become clearer. But if you are still not understanding, ask questions. They need to become more clear. Is this okay?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Since you have said it's okay, I'll ask you one more question. Now you are sure that I've got a physical address. So should I search in the cache, or can I directly, anyway I'm at the main memory, can I go just read from the main memory and go happily back to the CPU?
You can directly go, but if it's not in the cache, you can better keep it there, right?
Yeah, no.
So
I'm
how
not
do
worried
you
about
figure
it.
that?
Okay, wait. I don't
So
know
yeah,
about the
like
cache.
we don't have to go to the cache or anything.
Okay.
You can
Any other
directly go.
answer?
We're already in the main memory.
Yeah, so we are already in the main memory. That girl has already struggled so hard, gone to the main memory, fetched the data. So should I go and now, sir? I'm already in the main memory. It's like I'm already in my friend's store. Should I just like steal his watch, or do I have to come back to my home, then use my watch, right? No, I'll just steal my friend's watch, right? Or do you think there's an issue with that?
Sir, what if we like do it 2 times? I mean, we already have B1 in cache, let's say, and then I go again and search B1 and then put it again in the cache. So in cache, I will have two B1 at this point.
No. Hey, come on, man. You have designed the cache structure, right? How can there be two B1s? They will always translate to the same address, right? So can there be in two different sets?
Oh, sorry, yeah, they will both have, like override it.
Yes, right. So that you should be very sure, because there are designs which do this. They have duplicates. Right? It's not possible in the design you till now be taught. Okay. Does anybody else want to take a shot at this answer? So the question is simple.
Depends on how much slower searching the main memory is as
No,
compared
it doesn't depend on that. Let's assume that the main memory is quick. I mean, just ask the main memory; it will give you the block. Let's assume. I mean, just hypothetically.
So then I guess it's fine. We can just check the main memory.
No, you are forgetting one more thing. What did I teach you about write back, write through caches, and all those caches?
So that's what Aditya told, right? If it's already there in the cache,
Yes.
like you have to, if it's not there in the cache, you have to keep it. If it's there in the cache, you don't have to do anything.
Or maybe the cache version is updated, like it's a
Yeah,
fixed
right.
piece
It's
or
not about having in the cache or not. What is the updated value? The cache might have an updated value, so you cannot get the data from the main memory immediately.
Sir, can you repeat?
See, let's say the cache, let's say this B2 block was made dirty, right? Let's say this whatever wherever was there. Okay, let's say this particular block was made dirty. Now you can't read B3 from the main memory from this particular whatever this particular data, because this has not yet been updated, because you're using a write back cache, not a write through cache. If I had used a write through cache, this problem would not have appeared. But since I'm using a write back cache, the cache might have an updated entry and not the main memory. So the CPU has generated an address. It is trying to read block B3, but the B3, I wanted the physical address. So I got the physical address here. I got the physical address here. But where is that updated value of this physical address? It need not be in main memory. It might be in the cache.
In the cache, it can be in the cache.
It can be in the cache. Of course, I don't know. It can be in the cache. So even though you are at the main memory, even though you might want to read the data, it might not be an updated data. It might be a stale value. Agree?
Agreed.
Yeah, others, I think people are now totally cursing me, I guess. But
Sir, if it's not there in the cache, then the updated value is in the main memory only, right?
yes, excellent. Yes, that is right. True.
Okay, sir.
Any other question? Okay, let's take a poll. Are you guys following? I know that this is a bit tedious, but anyway, since you are here, I think everybody is not shy to ask questions. So if you have any questions, just fire it away. But somebody who's listening to this video, if you are not following, if you really want to learn, just send me a message. Please don't WhatsApp me. Just either email me or email me or send an SMS. And we can have one more class. I don't mind teaching it any number of times. I can teach you again. And if for some reason you could not attend this, and you have doubts. Okay. Okay. So let's assume that the hit, I found a translation. I got the physical address. Now maybe I read it from the main memory. I take it back to the cache, but I search whether it's in the cache or not. If it's a hit in the cache, then I forget what I have brought from the main memory because the cache will have updated value. I give it back. But if it's a miss in the cache, then I will use the data that I brought from the main memory, keep it in the cache because I am assuming that there's spatial locality, and then I bring it to this.
So should I update the TLB in this case?
Yes, you have to update it. Yes. Yeah, but why do you update the TLB? What is the reason why you want to update the TLB?
Because now this is a more recently used.
Yeah, but on what basis are you updating the TLB? Like, what is that guiding factor?
You have to search in cache, right? So
No. Like she's saying, this entry should be updated in the TLB. But what is it that this entry has higher priority than the previous entry that is already there in the TLB?
This was more recently used, and it's going to be there in the cache, but it's not there in the TLB. So next time, if I need this.
Yeah, but what is guaranteeing you that the CPU might generate an address which belongs to this translation and not the previous translation? It's the same spatial locality and temporal locality, right?
Spatial locality.
Yeah, and temporal locality also. See, now you are talking about a huge page, 8 KB page. So if you are accessing an array, the first time might be a hit miss in the TLB, but all other accesses will be hit in the TLB because you already have the translation for that particular page. So it's not just about the cache miss, like you are optimizing it for TLB also using spatial and temporal locality. Okay, so now we'll fill this up again, but I will go ahead with this. Let's say there is a miss in there's no translation available in the main memory. Now what do you do? Now are you there? Now the question, same question, right? Is there a chance that it can be in the cache? Can it be in the cache? Can it be in the cache?
no, sir.
No, right? Yeah, please be confident. I mean, it cannot be in the cache. Why can't it be in the cache?
Because I don't have any translation.
Yeah, it doesn't have translation. Can it be in the main memory?
No.
No, sir.
No, right? So now what do you have to do?
Go to the hardware and.
Yeah, right. So now what do? You pray to God, right? You pray to God. You say, okay, I did not find everywhere. So who is that God? You say, okay, operating system, please take over. I could not find my data here. So now I will not proceed further because my pipeline is stuck until I get this data. So I will not go further. So I will just be stuck at the pipeline. I can't use the pipeline also effectively. So you take over. Now you switch that data from the secondary storage to the main memory. So now it's a page fault. So now the operating system takes over and it initiates the transfer from the secondary storage to the main memory. So it initiates the transfer, and the transfer is very slow because the secondary storage is really pathetic. It's too slow. So now the operating system thinks, okay, this guy will take another 10,000 cycles before before he or she can resume. So what I will do is I will switch to, say, process 2. I will give the pipeline everything to process 2. And when this transfer is finished, maybe I will give it back the control of the hardware to the process 1. So that's what the operating system, that's what the operating system might decide. We don't know. It's just an operating system policy. Right? So now the transfer, everything happens. So at some point after the page fault, transfer from secondary storage to main. And then there might be some data that you are writing from the main memory to secondary storage because you are replacing something that was already updated. Right? All these things are happening when the process is just sitting idle for waiting for that one byte that you generated, and that byte is not available in the hierarchy of the memory. Right? After this translation is, after the data from the secondary storage to the main memory, the page table will be updated. Maybe the TLB will also be updated, and then the process will be awakened and the process will continue execution. Is this clear?
When you say maybe the TLB will be updated, you update the TLB and the corresponding cache also, right? Like if you had some cache blocks from a page that was just kicked out, you should remove them from the cache, right?
Yes. No. If you remove, sorry, I didn't get you. If you remove some entry from the TLB, you don't have to remove from the cache.
So like
No.
right now, suppose we removed a page, like
Yeah,
we replaced a page, right? So if there were some blocks from this page that was removed in the cache and in the TLB, or maybe only in the cache and not in the TLB, what?
Okay, let's say, okay, maybe I have not understood your question right. Just I'll repeat, and if you are not understanding, let me know. Okay. So now let's say I brought a block B, okay, small b, and replaced this small a. Okay. Let's assume that is what I'm doing. So this A has been kicked out. Okay. Now I have to say that this entry here, right? This entry here is invalidated. Agreed?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And if there is any block in the cache, they are flushed out.
Yes, sir. That's what I'm asking.
And I cannot just flush out. I have to send a signal back to the upper levels hierarchy saying that do you have any dirty blocks? If you have dirty blocks, please write it to the main memory.
Okay.
Right? Because I have to update the value from the main memory to the hard disk, and I cannot just write some junk. Because it might have a block here which belongs to this particular small a, which might be dirty. So I have to send a back signal to the cache saying that, hey, I am replacing this page. Do you have any blocks which belong to this page? If yes, make it invalid. If you have them as dirty, please write it back to the main memory such that I can, when I write it to secondary storage, I will write what is updated.
Yes, sir.
Does it make sense to everybody?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Once you think about it, right, there is nothing in this. Like once you know, it's like riding a cycle. Once you know, it's all right. Then you will say, okay, why did I spend so much time learning riding a cycle? You can think about it. You will think that, I mean, why did I spend 1 month to ride a bicycle? It comes so naturally to me. I just sit on it and I just pedal it and I will go around. Then you start doing wheelie and all those things. Right? So, but the initial 1 month is a hiccup. Which you will not appreciate later. It happened with 1 hour project. These guys were saying, okay, I mean, why did we put so many efforts? I said, okay, now you understand what is thread, node, GPU, everything. But before you actually started it, it might have been an Herculean task. But once you understand it, this is just like monkey's business. Okay. I said there might be a third thing. Can anybody guess what this third thing might be? I mean, there can only be hit or miss. It's like I'm tossing a coin with heads and tails. I'm asking, can there be something else other than heads and tails?
The coin is not there.
Yeah, not the coin is there. The coin is standing. Right? So what might happen? I'll just tell you. You tell me whether that is possible or not. We have been seeing this page table. We said that here there are entries ABCD, here there are entries ABCD. Can there be a case where this particular D is not there? Can this page table be incomplete? You have told that for process 2 you have 256 bytes, right? But this small d is not there. Can such a case exist?
So when the reserved memory needs to be replaced, like the reserved space?
No, reserved is physical.
No, that page needs to be replaced because it's the table is too big.
You are confusing a lot. I am asking, can there be an entry not present here in the virtual address? In the virtual page table, can there be an entry which is not there? I'm not talking about whether here one entry is there or not. Here I have only 3 pages, but it is completely disjoint from the dream world, right? Here I am saying this D might not be. Here I'm okay if D is not there. Maybe I will map it to say C. That is still okay. But I'm asking, can the small d itself not be there? I have allowed the process
Yes, sir, it might not be there.
Yeah, I have allowed the process to have 256 bytes. right? I have allowed this process 1 to have 256 bytes, even though in the main memory I am using only say 192 bytes. So even though in main memory I am using only 192 bytes, I have allowed the process 1 to have 256 bytes and 256 bytes. Are you convinced that that is possible?
Yes.
Yes, right. Now I am saying the process has not used 256 bytes, so which means that it has, this small d is not there. Can that be the case? So even though you have, sorry.
Yes, sir. It
Yes,
can,
when can that case be there?
When my code is not using.
Yes, right. So when do you use, let's say I start writing a code and you just do print hello world. Do you think it will use all the 2 power 32 bytes that are there in the process?
no, sir.
No, right? So it might generate, so it might go and say, okay, let's say the small a is code segment. Again, all this you will read it in your operating systems, but we are only talking about from the hardware structure. So let's say the small a is some code space, the small b is somewhere where you store all your registers. The small c is maybe your heap segment that you know, right? So you might have already heard of this term called heap, right? So maybe c is small c is heap. You have done a malloc, you have done malloc for 1 byte, which means that you are using only this, and the operating system has allocated this page for you. But the operating system has not allocated this page for you because you haven't ever requested the operating system to allocate this much. You are just done a printf hello. So this small d might not be there. Agreed?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now what I'm asking is,
Sir, even if the small d is accessed sometimes, still it might not be in the space, right? Reserved space.
no. When you are, so let's not call it reserved space when you are saying virtual page table, right?
Virtual page table.
Yes. See, this small b when it is accessed, it is accessing whose memory? It is accessing its own memory. Yeah, process 2's memory, right?
Yes, sir.
And when it is accessing C, it's accessing process 2's memory. When it is accessing D, let's say it generates an address. Let's say now, in this case, process 2 generates an address 0xC8. Now, will you allow the process to access something here? I mean, will you say, okay, now the process has generated 0xC8. So I will go to the hard disk and fetch the deep block, deep page. Can you do that? Can you do that?
Why can't we do that, sir?
No, right? Why? Because the process has not even accessed that. I mean, it has not even requested that I want 256 bytes. See, you went and told somebody that you are ready to give him 1,000 rupees, but he said, okay, I want only 100 rupees. He took only 100 rupees from you. Right now, when he is using that 100 rupees, can he go and tell the shopkeeper that I will buy something worth 150 rupees?
I mean, he can, but he'll get garbage, right? Like, they'll,
Huh?
like,
No, right?
if you
Like,
try to
so,
access it, there'll be nothing useful.
no, for whom will you map to? Like, see, this particular, okay, I think maybe we should draw one more diagram here. So you are forgetting that this is a hard disk, right? Let's write the hard disk here. Okay. Now in the hard disk, you have allocated the swap space for small a, small b, and small c. Where is d?
Oh, there's no D defined itself. Okay.
Because it's not defined, right? That's what. So let's say I gave 1,000. I said to somebody, like let's say I told you that I'm giving you 1,000 rupees. You do whatever you want. Like your father says, he gave you 1,000 rupees. You do whatever you want. And you said no, I want to be a good girl, so I'll take only 100 rupees. You took only 100 rupees. You went to the shop. Now you realize that the item that you want to buy is 150 rupees. Can you just give him 100 rupees and you say that my dad told me he'll give me 1,000 rupees, so can you give me the item? Will he give you the item?
No, sir.
No, right? Because you don't have that 50 rupees. So even though you are promised, so what do you have to do? Now you want to buy that 150 rupees thing. What do you have to do?
You have to go back and ask for money.
Yeah, you have to go back to your father and say, okay, I want more money. But before asking the father, if you still try to get that item from the shopkeeper, what will the shopkeeper do?
You'll say it's stealing.
Yeah, he will put you in jail, right? So you are trying to access something. You are trying to access something which is not yours. So what happens if you are doing that here?
segmentation fault?
Yes, it's a segmentation fault. That's why this process gets killed, right? So you might be, of course, there are many reasons why the segmentation fault happens. If you're accessing the null address, if you're accessing something in the reserved space, if you're generating some address, there are more common cases. But this is also one of the cases where the segmentation fault comes up. So it says, okay, this process is trying to access somewhere where the page was not even allocated for it. So the operating system kills this process and says it's a segmentation fault. It's a sure kill. It's a -9 kill. So it's killed. I mean, there's no second thought about it. The process is immediately killed, terminated by the operating system, and it is just gone. I mean, the life is just gone away. Is this clear? So this is where your segmentation fault comes from. One of the reasons. So if I declare int pointer a and do a is equal to malloc of 100 bytes, but use access a of 10,000, then it might result in a segmentation fault. In general modern day process, it might not, but in general, it might result in a segmentation fault. That is bad code because you are trying to access something which is not there. Or you declare a int pointer a, you say a is equal to malloc of 10,000, you access them, then you do free of a, and then you try to do a of 10,000, then also it's a segmentation fault. Why? Because you have already freed that memory. You have told the operating system, okay, I had an entry from D to D, but now I don't want this entry. So I'm releasing this memory, which means that from all the hierarchy of the memory, that thing has been released. So now you again generate the address, it will be a segmentation fault. Is this okay?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, others, easy to do.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, think about it. It will be clear, but this is a segmentation fault. This is a clear case of segmentation fault. And who produces the segment fault? I generally ask this question. Who produces? People say the process. No, the process doesn't know anything about it. You have written the code to generate some address which is junk. The process doesn't know that it's accessing a junk address. So the process cannot know that it has to kill itself. Nobody kills themselves. So it has to be killed by the operating system. So the operating system interferes. It says, okay, this guy has generated a miss and asking me to bring a block page from the secondary storage which does not even exist. Which means that he is trying to do some mischief and it will be killed. So this is one of the reasons of the SIG fault. Generally, the SIG fault is not because of, in modern day process, there are other reasons where SIG fault comes. Generally, it's if you are accessing 0x0 or some reason address space or something like that. Is this clear?
Sir, this is clear, but the virtual page table is implemented in the hardware only, right?
No. Virtual page table is a software. It's a data structure. It is stored here.
Okay, sir. Okay.
It's stored here.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it is. If you really want to know it, it is stored in PCB. It's called process control block. It is generally after the kernel space. So your process is divided into kernel space, heap, stack, data segment, and things like this, right? So there's something called process control block, which is, so when a process, when you write a program, it's just, as we saw that it's just a C file. But when you launch a program, the operating system wakes up and says, okay, I want to give life to this process. So when it wants to give life to this process, it creates in its address space, when it creates this, right? When it creates this, it just doesn't create just this junk. It also creates a lot of payload. One of them is called process control block. In the process control block, it will create a data structure called virtual page table and say that this virtual page table can be kept in the reserved space. And then it will have its base pointer and things like that you will study in operating system and launch this process. This virtual page table is a data structure. It's a software. It's not in hardware. The TLB is a hardware structure. It is just caching whatever is there in the virtual page table just to make sure that the accesses are faster. But the TLB is shared. The virtual page table is not shared among processes. There are different designs available for virtual page table. One of the important designs you'll learn in your operating system calls for inverted page tables, which is a more efficient way of storing page tables. But there are drawbacks to that also.
Sir, I think we discussed that the virtual page table might be so big that it may not fit in this reserved space.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So
then
what
you
if
do
there's
paging.
so when there's a miss in this virtual page table, like maybe you need to bring the rest of it from wherever it is and check
No,
that
now
also.
when I wrote this, right, so I assume that the entire page table is available in the reserved space.
Okay.
But you are right, there might be a case that it cannot be fit in the reserved space, then it becomes, it's like God created us, but who created God, right? So then it's like recursive God. But we'll not get into it, I think it will just confuse everybody.
Okay.
But we'll assume that everything that is reserved can be fit in here. If I teach you operating system next semester, I don't know when that will come, then I'll teach you how to handle this. Or anybody, any lecturer will do this. Is this okay? That's one more reason for you to take operating. I know that I keep telling this about all courses, but operating system is much more beautiful because the way it's built is really interesting. You should actually implement an operating system on your own, then you'll understand. That's one of the goals. I think we might. I don't know whether we do it here or not, but I mean, generally, irrespective of the faculty or irrespective of who, whether I'm teaching or somebody's teaching, I think we should go ahead and implement a tiny operating system. It's a complex circulating task, but it will tell you the entire thing about what is happening on the system. Okay. Okay. Is this clear till now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So one last thing is, okay, I think I wrote everything. Okay, so I hope this is clear. We will come back to, okay, we will leave it with one question so that you will come back next class also. Let's say I am accessing this. So why did I have the cache in the first place? I had the cache in the first place because I wanted to reduce the number of accesses to the main memory. Agree? So then we say we want to have TLB. Let's say the cache is taking one cycle, the TLB is taking one cycle to access. Now, any address that you generate, how many cycles does it take?
Minimum
Even
2 cycles.
minimum 2 cycles, right? Even if there's a hit in the cache, because you want to go to the TLB, if it's a hit, then you go to the cache. Which means that even though I have designed a very good cache, even though I have the best hardware, even though it is taking one cycle, I am paying 2 cycles for every memory access, even though it's a hit in the cache. And you see that when I double something, the performance drastically reduces. So is there a way where I don't need to translate? Yeah, do you get my question? So is there a way where I can access the memory in one cycle? I'm able to service a memory request in one cycle. Can I do that? See, I brought it down to, see, I put TLB here because I didn't want to go to the main memory. I reduced the access time so much by having it in TLB. But I'm still not happy because I'm a human. I am not happy with whatever performance I got. That's why we are here from the cave to here, right? Because, or else if we were not passionate, we would have been in the cave still taking 2 stones to light fire. So we came here, but I'm still not happy because I'm taking 2 cycles. So I want to make it 1 cycle.
Sir, can we do it like compress it to 1 cycle only, like we were doing half a cycle for read and half a cycle?
No, you were able to do it half a cycle because your timing allowed it. That's why I didn't want you to learn it that way. That's why I said it is okay even if you don't assume that. In the MIPS architecture, it so happens that you can do it in half cycle. But if your timing doesn't allow, you can't do it in half cycle. So there are pipelines which they are right back itself to take 1 cycle. See, the cycle is what? It is some time, right? If it is 1 nanosecond, if you are not able to do the write back in 0.5 nanosecond, there is no way that you can fit it in half of cycle each. Then it will become 1 cycle each. Just because you are able to do write back in 0.5 nanosecond, you are able to plug it here. If this access itself takes 1 nanosecond, this takes 1 nanosecond, and if the clock frequency is 1 gigahertz, can I do everything in 1 cycle? No. Because I cannot reduce the time. If this was taking 0.5 nanosecond, if this was taking 0.5 nanosecond, yes, then I could have said, okay, I will finish both of them in 1 nanosecond, so it's 1 cycle. But let's say it both take 1 nanosecond each. Any answer?
Can I change the code?
Can you change the?
Can we change the assembly code directly because I'm then using P1, then I can just change all the instances so that the address generated will be directly a physical address.
No, what will you change? I didn't get you. So I didn't get you.
Like my suggestion was to change the code so that whatever
No,
address
right?
is
We have
generated-
agreed that we don't want to change the code. Like it's like saying I want to give one cycle, so I'll go to the programmer and say, "Can you do something?" If I tell you, the programmer, will you do it? You'll say no. See, it's like you came up with this virtual memory concept because you wanted to support multiprocessing. You came up with this resource space. You came up with this TLP. Nobody asked you to come up with TLP. You came up with all this design yourself. Now you are saying, since I came up with this complicated design, instead of taking 2 cycles, instead of taking 1 cycle, I am taking 2 cycles. Obviously, I will not be happy about it. So there is a way, I mean, there are multiple ways to handle this. We'll see 2 different ways in the next class whenever we meet. So is it okay if we meet Wednesday? I think that will be the last class, or maybe the last but one class, but beyond that I will not go, I can promise you that. Yeah, you have a doubt in exclusive cache? Yes, I will try to answer that. Just a second. Oh, somebody is joined. Is somebody joined now? Okay. So is it okay if we have it on Wednesday, a class on Wednesday? Does that work for you? So we will wrap this up. Yeah, we will wrap this up. I'll try to wrap it up, but it might spill over. Maximum of 2 more classes, or just 1 more class. So I will not be teaching coherence or anything. I'll assume that you already know. And I also have some video about floating point that I didn't cover for your class. I thought I'd cover it later. So, but I have a video. I just upload the video. You can look at it. I have discussed in detail about floating points and how to handle floating points and things like that. But if you have doubts, you can come back to me. That's also an important topic for you to read about. Okay. Okay. So Gautam had a doubt. If everybody wants to stay back, and anybody wants to stay back, they can stay back, or else the class is done. Yes, Gautam. What question do you have?
Sir, my doubt is if the L2 cache has a bigger block size than L1 cache.
Yeah, wait, just a second. Yeah, the class is done. If anybody wants to leave, they can leave. Okay. Let's say I have L1 cache and you have L2 cache. Now what you're saying is the block here is maybe 128 bytes. And this is, say, A0, A1, 64 bytes each, right?
Yes, sir. Now,
Okay.
if this is an exclusive cache, then it has to take the block from the RAM and gets to L1. And whenever we are removing it from L1, we will place it in L2, no, sir?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
now,
what you are, okay, good question. So what you are asking is, should I bring from main memory 128 bytes or 64 bytes? If you brought only 64 bytes, let's say B1 is made up of A0 and A1. That's what you are asking, right? B1
Yes,
is made up of A0, A1. Now the request for was A0. Let's say the request was for A0. Now, can I bring only A0? Is the question that you are asking. If I
Yes,
bring
sir.
only A0, then there is only half of it that I will. No, you can't do that. Generally, you can't do that. So you will have to bring the entire thing B1. And the way, so in generally exclusive caches, you don't have this block size. They don't allow, I mean, generally, it's not beneficial to have this design where you have higher block size with the